You know what? Here I am in my little closet booth doing voiceover auditions. Haven't done an episode of Ouch My 30s in weeks. And you know what? It's time to get down to it. Intro music. I don't have intro music yet. Hey guys, what's going up? Welcome to your podcast that explores the decade no one prepared us for, our 30s. Last episode was probably a couple weeks ago, maybe almost a month. There was a great betrayal. I was the victim of a duplicity, a diabolical betrayal, an undermining of friendship and the binds of unity by which we seek kinship in one another. A business slash group of friends asked me to stop doing stand-up in front of their establishment. It rapidly declined from there. Honestly, I don't even remember what I say on these podcasts. They were offended, like rich white people tend to be. We're not rich. We just own two businesses. They're nice people, like most white liberals. They mean well. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I was like injured also, so I stopped doing the comedy. I went back and did it one more time, I think. I stood across the street from their business on this I think they used to sell slaves on this like podium that's like built into the place is the four corners of Kingston, and it has this really historical significance because the Continental Congress was convened there. I think before or after the Revolutionary War to like get these civil rights out or lack thereof on paper. So I mean, like, I just don't really give a fuck. I'm so focused on other things that a younger Duval or a less perturbed Duval would have been in front of their business every day naked, or I would have dressed up as a runaway slave and hired a white person to whip me, and I would have been like, this is what they're doing to me, trying to deprive me of my God-given rights. But I just don't give a fuck really. I just want comedy clubs to open up again, and I just determined, look, they're nice people. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. I don't even remember. That's the beauty of anger. Like, you don't even remember, like, a few weeks go by, you don't even remember what you're actually angry at. But yeah, I stopped going there. I pretty much stopped doing stand-up outside of there, because it's just cold, and again, like, I've got other things going on. Been interviewing for, like, jobs, like, corporate, like, writing gigs that I'm not even sure I really want, but I'm, like, deep into the interview process, so that's cool. What else has been going on? Been going deep into the therapy. Oh, yes. The therapy. So I mentioned my therapist on a previous podcast, and she does occasionally try to bring up, like, did you feel that your heritage as a black man made you feel alienated at your rich private school? I was like, no, I was better than everyone, and I inculcated them into obedience by making them fear me through my rage. Because my mom's boyfriends beat me. But on that note, my therapist was talking about, they really wanted to like dial in on this like anger thing that I have, that I kind of underestimate. And she's like, so have you ever brought this up with your mom? Like these, men in her life and yours that like didn't treat you well. I was like, yeah, I brought it up. And then she said, and I couldn't say the words, because my mom, basically, I like confronted her about this like piece of shit who like kicked me in the chest when I was 7 and like sent me flying into a wall, and no one said anything, and that still infuriates me. But then like bringing that up later to my mom like a year ago or a couple months ago, before my father was unleashed from prison, she's like, he just did that because he's jealous, or like had some insane rationale for why her shitty boyfriend kicked me in the chest, like the most delusional, detached explanation you can have. And then when I was sitting with my therapist, like I couldn't verbally articulate it. I literally was like, yeah, she said, well, she, yeah, the thing that really bothered me is when my mom said that, yeah, so it was really poignant for me. And the therapist was just like, it's okay. It was just that terrible. You can't even bring words to it. I was like, yeah. So yeah, anger's tough, and when you're beat up, and then like therapy is crazy, and because it helps. We all know what we're dealing with on some form or another. But what my therapist has been helping me with is sort of aligning these traumas to kind of give a cohesion to the madness that has been my upbringing. Because when you're just in it, you're just in it. But I knew in my gut and in my body, which is probably why I'm in fucking pain all the time, it was just always chaos. There's always madness happening. It's just okay, we're living here. These people are living in the house. Okay, we're moving here. All right, we don't talk to these people anymore. Okay, here's my boyfriend now. Okay, here's a new guy. Here's your stepdad. Oh, you have a sister. Okay, now we're living upstate New York. Okay, we don't. Yeah. So yeah, she's kind of helped to sort of bring a cohesion to the fact that my mom has never really stood up for me. She's taken care of me in a very sort of bureaucratic sense, where she got me into the right schools, made sure all my made sure I knew what bills to pay, all this sort of dispassionate, emotionless stuff she was very good at. But when it came to protecting me from the chaos of her own shitty decisions, she never did. And I never really was able to put that into words. And then, of course, with my father being released from prison, it was the sort of culmination of all these, her not, looking out for my best interests. And that isn't to say, she's not allowed to get back with my father. No, it's just more her not telling me about it was sort of a reflection of that pathology of her constantly just, not being cognizant of the effect that her decisions in her life would have on me. And as a 34-year-old, you can kind of finally say, all right, well, I'm done with this shit. So, yeah, it's good. Therapy is interesting, and it's helpful to reframe a lot of these things that have happened to us and be able to perceive them from a different perspective. So on and so forth. What else is going on? So I'm feeling good. I'm drinking less. Yeah, I mean, weirdly, I do feel overall a lot better. I mean, there are ups and downs on this podcast. I mean, there was one episode where I literally was contemplating suicide because I was in that much pain. And it gets exhausting being in pain all the time. Just from it's just neck pain, tension, trigger points, muscle knots. And I don't live a very active lifestyle. I get to the gym a lot more now, but you underestimate the effect that sitting all the time has. And my job is to write and be a voiceover guy. So most of my life is just sitting, sending emails and writing and shit. So I really am looking forward to getting to a place where I can just be walking around more, going to yoga, living in some beach town where I just go outside and say, all right. COVID be damned. So yeah, I'm feeling right now a lot better, and I intend to continue to feel better because the self-work is, it can be very addicting, and once you get a taste of what you can be, you must continue on that path. I don't really want to talk about politics. I mean, I think I'll do a video about this, but just oh God, the fucking... Look, Biden, great. How about it? Obama was a terrible president in a lot of ways. I mean that only to say that our problems are not all solved. Okay, I was in a deli the day after the election was called, and some woman with a rainbow flag mask on came up to me, and she recognizes me from the coffee shop that I used to go to, and she's like, "Oh, how are you feeling? Feeling good?" I was like, "Not really." She's like, "Oh, come on. You're not happy on this historic day?" I was like, "The fuck are you talking about? Historic what?" She's like, "The election." I was like, "Oh, another old white guy?" She's like, "Oh, yeah, okay, I guess that's true, yeah." It's this champagne bottle pop-in mentality that rich white liberals are diving right into is the exact problem that I feared with another Democratic president, White people's perception, they're like, "We did it!" We didn't do shit. The work has just what you didn't beat Trump. You earned an opportunity to deliver on all this marching, protesting, hashtagging you've been doing for the past 4 years that Trump has apparently prevented you from being able to act on. So it's game on, okay? And mind you, Joe Biden is the only presidential Democratic candidate during the debates that mentioned the G word, gentrification, okay? So all these people in Harlem, walking outside of their fucking $2 million brownstones, waving flags, popping champagne bottles, talking about we did it. Are you still going to be saying that if he passes some anti-gentrification legislation where minorities need to own a certain amount of businesses and property in a neighborhood? I don't know. I feel like you'll be suddenly being well, let's dial that back there. Let's not move too fast. So all I'm saying is the type of celebration I think is weird and deeply reflective of sort of the arrogance that rich white liberals approach race relations and politics with. You know, yeah, it's that whole notion. I've talked about it before, where they're like, just vote. You have to vote. Just vote. You know, it's like, yeah, for a system that benefits you much better than it benefits minorities. And I know you can make the argument that voting for the right person will, you know, help minorities. But it's like, okay, we've been saying that for fucking 60 years, you know, and like, yes, things have marginally gotten better. But I think even then you could argue that, because I think the economic prosperity of African Americans in this country, at least in terms of home ownership, has drastically dropped off. So I don't know that this sort of voting paradigm is always able to be conflated with minority prosperity, if that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, you know, and then now we're doing this thing where it's just like, you know, I don't want to go on this like lesbian revenge tour of anyone who voted for Trump. And like, you know, it's like, we won. Like the day after the election, I saw another like Antifa led. It was a guy with an Antifa black outfit on with a megaphone, followed by like two heavyset white women in unicorn outfits screaming, yeah, fuck Trump. And I'm like, we won. We won. We won. Like, let's get to work. You don't have to do that anymore. But like, and that's the point. These people don't seem so much interested in solutions and executing things that are actually going to help people. They just want to feel right. And those are two different things, you know. Feeling right and affecting change, or, you know, being indignant and affecting change are two entirely different things. And I think that rich white liberals are more preoccupied with their ego and vanity than they are with the hard work it takes to change the world. And final thing on politics. You know, it's like, again, rich white liberals really are very comfortable with this non-bipartisan, non-reconciliation based rhetoric, you know? Like, they're all about, like, you know, what's that stupid meme? Or it's not a stupid meme, but there's that meme that's like, you know, we could disagree and still be friends, but not with racism, transphobia, bigotry, which is like, sure, of course, but the problem with that logic is that who is deciding what is racist, homophobic, and bigoted? That's the problem, right? You know, we're looking at a lot of things that people say and do and very quickly calling them Nazis. And it's just like, are they a Nazi? Or are they just a fucking moron who's poor and has no educational opportunities and because of their own limited worldview has to rely on racism to justify their shitty lot in life? Yes, that's very generous, but we are the better ones, so we have to be generous, right? People think that we can just live the world isn't Facebook. You can't delete, unblock, and unfriend people you don't like, all right? But rich white liberals have the luxury of that. They have the luxury of sort of eschewing bipartisanship because they can afford to not live around people they don't want to live around. The rest of us have to go to work with these people, have to ride the bus with these people, have to live in the same neighborhoods as someone who might be a quote-unquote racist or someone who is a homophobic or whatever the case may be. Rich white liberals can literally choose to live around people who are like them because they have the money to, and that's what they're doing, particularly in this town of Kingston. It's got a lot of people who all think the same thing, buying houses together, who all are running the same flags on their lawn, and it all feels really good. But the rest of us have to live amongst the fucking cesspool. So for us, reconciliation isn't like we're not doing it because it's, you know, the right thing to do. It's because we have to. We work with these people. We ride the train with these people. These people are a part of our lives. And those of us who can't just telecommute with a six-figure job, in a goddamn farmhouse in Stone Ridge, yeah, of course you want to ignore and delete and, fuck evil Trump supporters. I'll hold no court with them. You can afford to. The rest of us can't. So that's the problem with this champagne bottle popping, Joe Biden celebrating, wheeling and dealing, son of a gun. That's Ric Flair. Woo! So I don't know. I think, we'll see, but Obama was fine. Joe Biden's fine, but you're going to see a whole bunch of fucking bankers and didn't he already appoint like a DuPont executive to the EPA? Like, come on, guys. Like, you think these people are that much different than Trump? Trump just sounded like a piece of shit. As well, he was, but you know what I mean. Like we didn't win. The work's just begun, guys. The work has just fucking begun. All right. You ain't shit as a rapper if you didn't transform into an animal in a music video. That's just something I wrote down. I was watching Snoop Dogg. What's my motherfucking name? Or like, the music video, he's sitting in a bedroom with a girl. And she's like, my dad's going to go home. You better get out of here. He said, don't worry about it, girl. And then it goes to 90s morph technology and he turns into a Rottweiler. And I just love those morphs. Or LL Cool J turning into a shark in Deepest, Bluest. My hat is like a shark's fin. Deepest, Bluest. My hat is like a shark's fin. That's just something I wrote down. All right. I'm feeling kind of tired. This cold air is weakening me. I need to get back to the sun. All right, so let's just wrap this up. What were we saying? All right, therapy's good. Trying to deal with my anger. I can still feel my mom's ex-boyfriend's foot in my chest, kicking me across the room, and that's why I don't particularly trust her, or feel much affinity with her, with current circumstances happening. Another weird dude. And the irony is, like, the guy kicked me in my grandma's living room, which is where I got into the duel of fates with my father when he got out of prison. He and I didn't fight, but it was a significant screaming match. And when someone's 6'4", 250 pounds, and you're not, that verbal, I ain't the one, can be intense. And my mom was just sitting there quiet in the corner, as usual. All right, well, this has been a fucking delight. Ouch my 30s, take care of yourself. I recommend therapy. If you have the means, try to make it happen, I'm fortunate to be able to have access to these services, and, if you are, even if you do have access to, insurance or whatever, it can be hard to get in and make that happen. So if you have any inclination towards whether or not you should be doing it, I highly recommend. Because let me be clear. Like, I'm not fixed. It's not like, oh, okay, I'm all better now. But it's a tool in making yourself not feel like a piece of garbage, which is the point of this podcast, guys. We're dealing with family trauma. We're dealing with external political trauma. We're dealing with physical trauma. We are trying to get ourselves to a better place, people, because in 2021, we're going to go back. We're going to take the country back. We're going to defeat COVID. The comedy clubs are going to open. We're going to have random sex. It's going to be good. Yes, America, I believe in you. There's a...